Hello and welcome to Illini Drive here on 107.1 WPGU. We're back after a little bit of a break. We were gone for a week, right? A week? Did we do a Thursday show before break?
You tell me. It was your show.
True. I wasn't on it. I was
you
on
should
a plane.
be telling me this.
No, I left.
Oh, wait. Did I fall into that show? No.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We've been gone for about a week, and now we're back. And we're going to be back for the rest of the year, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. There's a lot. This is a great sports time right now. Right now, this is one of the best times to have a sports talk radio show.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of fun off-season stuff and the NFL going on, and then you get baseball that's starting up right away real soon. March Madness is happening.
Really.
Yeah, baseball really kind of already has started. But now opening day is officially, 2 days away?
2 days away.
And that's going to be amazing. And then March Madness right now. We're right before the Sweet 16, which is always a good time. NBA, we're getting down to the wire in terms of the regular season there. And then if you like the NHL, that's going on too. But no, nothing against the NHL. If the NHL is more fun when the Stanley Cup playoffs start, and those will be on their way soon too. So every sport, there's a lot to be playing for right now. There's a lot to be going on. And there's a lot to discuss. So it's a really fun time to get going again, and there's going to be a lot of good stuff to talk about. But first, let me introduce everybody again. I'm Eli Schuster. I'm joined alongside Jake Hasan today, filling in for Isaac Trotter. Jake, hello.
Hey, I wasn't here yesterday, so
okay.
This is my first show
so
back.
First show back as well.
Hell
Lovely.
Yeah.
Plenty to talk about. And our producer, Tati Perry. Tati, how you doing?
Pretty good. Great. Not happy with the campus construction, but
Okay.
Yeah, what is that about? Like, all of Wright Street is closed.
the entirety of
hello?
very inconvenient. But other than that, I'm ready to finish out these last few weeks. And by few, I mean 6.
6 weeks.
Hey.
Strong.
6 is that's nice. For me, I'm done after these 6. So I'm all ready for
plus
it.
1 more year.
6, but yeah, but it'll be smooth sailing. It's all fine. This construction though, yeah, this was something that they if you paid attention though, they did warn this. This was coming. I do want to
I
say.
didn't pay attention, so yeah.
But you're a journalist.
So-
we're all journalists.
so
and we're
maybe
like,
this is
hey,
on me?
I didn't pay attention to the news on this.
Listen, Eli, I try to switch blame and deflect blame from myself in almost any situation, so I continue
So we'll
to
blame
blame
the campus. Yeah,
Yes.
it's no big deal. It does seem unnecessary. It's supposed to go until September, you said, right, Tati?
Yep. Mid-September.
Not great. A lot of construction to do. But let's construct some thoughts of our own today on this on this show.
It's taking all of my power not to leave this room right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but then we're going to
No, you're
construct some thoughts of our own on this show. There's a couple things I want to get into today. I want to talk about March Madness. We haven't had a chance to really discuss it so far. I want to talk about whether it's been an underwhelming March Madness so far, because I think a lot of it has been. We compare it to other years. And then I want to get into baseball. I mean, we have a lot of contract extensions that happened today, or even a couple today, but also, within the past month, there's been
15 in the past month.
15 throughout the last month, so there's plenty to talk about there. And I got some questions that I want to pose to the room on extensions in baseball and where is the league heading. I think there's some interesting things to discuss there. But before we get into some national news, let's first discuss Illinois baseball. I want to talk about Illinois baseball real quick because this has been a team that's off to one of its best starts in years.
30 years.
In 30 years, there you go. It's definitely looking like it'll be the best. It could be the best season since 2015 2014. Did they go to the
2015.
Was it 2015? Because I started school 2015 year was when I started here, and I don't remember it being my freshman year. I think it was the year before I came in. But regardless, it looks like it's going to be one of their best seasons since they made that long run to the College World Series about 4 or 5 years ago. So, and also I'll bring up Illinois softball. I think that's important to bring up too. They're also looking great. So I think, if you were sad with Illinois football this year,
and basketball,
many people have been, and Illinois basketball, springtime's looking good right now for Illinois sports. Mm-hmm. We always have solid gymnastics programs that are wrapping up too, and golf's underway, but this softball and baseball streak right now going on for these two teams is pretty incredible. And baseball, I believe, is 17-4. And there's a lot of fun things to look out. You just look at their last series against Illinois State, I mean, they put numbers up against them. They had a 14-3 win, and then a 4-2 win, and then a 12-1 win. And these guys are balling right now.
Yeah, they're currently on a 3-game win streak, and this, like I said, this is their best start in 30 years. I mean, since the 80s, and I mean, they're incredible. Everyone was kind of wondering what would happen when Spillane left last year after he got drafted. But, I mean, between Michael Massey and Ben Troike and even to an extent Jackie Elowitz, I mean, they've been unbelievable. And his pitching staff's incredible, too.
Yes.
I mean, at the top, Weber's been unbelievable. Granted, it's early, but still, those guys, they're playing really, really well, and they're putting up a lot of runs. They're playing Indiana State right now, who's 19-2.
Yeah.
And that's currently tied at 0 in the 5th. But this team's really good. There were some questions about how they'd be able to fill that void, but they've been doing really well. I mean, to their credit.
Well, I think they were...
They're 25th now, according to D1Baseball.com.
Yeah, they've been in and out of the rankings so far, and I think soon enough they're going to be firmly in them with the way that they're playing.
Yeah,
but,
their RPI is 5th. So their schedule's 5th behind like Oregon State, like some of the top like national title contenders.
Yeah, this is going to be a team that finds its way into the top 25 sooner rather than later, and it should be at the top, toward the top of the Big Ten as well once they start their conference play. Yep. But
starts Friday.
A lot of teams slept on, or a lot of I guess I will say the media and a lot of just general college baseball fans, I think, slept on this Illinois team a little bit heading into this year, because I think I covered the team relatively heavily towards the end of last year and through the Brent Spillane run that they were having. And I mean, Spillane, while he was utterly incredible,
Golden Spikes contender.
Yeah, and he got a solid he got solid attention, right? I mean, obviously he was National Player of the Year. It was warranted. But with that, I think a lot of people forgot about some of the solid pieces that were on this team. You bring up Michael Massey. I mean, that was a player last year who, if Spillane wasn't there to take the light, I mean, that's a guy who would be getting all the attention, and he is heading into this year. And then you have Jack Yalowitz, who had a down year last year, but you knew from his freshman season, where he had one of the better freshman seasons that some players had at Illinois, that he was going to be good. And then you have a guy like Zach Taylor, who is someone who transferred from a Houston program several years ago, and he was drafted really late in the draft last year, but he was drafted, had an option to go. He decided to stay. He's my favorite player on the team, and he's been for the past year or so. After watching him last year, I think he's the best MLB prospect or looking player for me personally on that team. I really like his style of play, and he's been really solid so far for, this year as well. But the great thing about this team, when you really look at it, is how incredible the kind of versatility is in terms of kind of the type of players that they have, but also they have a nice age range here. So I think that helps a lot in baseball when you have these nice veteran players. You have guys like Massey at this point could be considered a veteran player. He's a junior. He's got plenty of playing time, but Yalowitz is a senior right now. You have several senior pitching. Your pitching that's the area where you're kind of the oldest, which is nice, but you have a lot of young talent. I mean, you guys got like Cam McDonald, who's playing phenomenally. Yep. And then you have a guy like Aiden Maldonado, who's a pitcher that both Cam McDonald and Aiden Maldonado, drafted last year.
Yeah, Maldonado's pitching right now, and he's only allowed to hit through 4. So he's been really good too. Like you said, this pitching staff's been great. Weber, like I said earlier, he has a sub-2 ERA. Sean Leland has a sub-2 ERA. Cirillo Watson has a sub-3. You mentioned your favorite player is Zach Taylor, and as warranted, I mean, he's slugging over 700 right now in 13 starts. But my favorite is the transfer, Josh Harris.
Sure, he's
awesome. I love him. He's a lefty. I mean, he just pumps 95 with his left arm, and on his right arm, he's got a full military sleeve using the Marine Corps. He's awesome. I love him. He's pitching really well for the Illini. So this is a good team. Like you said, this age range is really good. They're a really well balanced group, though.
Yeah, it's really incredible to watch. And actually, one thing I want to clear up when I said that. Cam McDonald has been playing very well, but he wasn't the one that was drafted. It was Campbell, right? I said McDonald.
Jacob Campbell.
Jacob Campbell was drafted by the Cubs. Yeah. And then where was Maldonado? Was Brewers. So Maldonado was drafted by the Brewers, and Campbell was drafted by the Cubs. But all of these young guys, I mean, these guys that they kind of convinced to come here and were looked at as pretty good recruits, all have been producing. Early on so far. They've all been really solid. And I don't think that there's somebody that we can even really look past. Freshman Brendan Comia as well has been pretty outstanding defensively for them. He's been playing really solid. And he's also batting .294. So it's just a team that everything's going right for right now. And I think that if you haven't, I mean, they've only been playing at home now for two series?
Yeah, they've only had 8 games at home.
Yeah. So
they're 8-0 at home, though.
That's solid. But if you haven't been able to see them yet,
5-0.
It's getting nicer weather outside. We had a relatively nice day today. They have Big Ten play coming up soon.
Friday. Starts against Iowa on Friday.
Then there you go. I totally recommend you go watch this team. There's a lot of
really good.
A lot of fun things to look out for, and a lot of fun individual players just to watch because they do have a lot of guys that are going to be successful down the road, and this is your chance to go see them before they get swooped up, before they get drafted. So. I don't know. Anything else we want to say on this team? You got any other thoughts?
No, I mean, definitely go watch them. Conference play starts Friday against Iowa. That's on the road, though, and they're on the road right now against Indiana State. But they'll be home against Coastal Carolina, who's always a tournament, who's always a College World Series team. Then they'll be at home against Maryland. They'll be at home against Maryland the first week of April, but then they're not back until the second week against Bradley and Penn State. But if it's nice enough, and it should be, it's getting warmer, go watch them on Maryland. It's going to be Mom's Weekend that weekend.
Ooh.
So that'll be big. But Coastal Carolina, go watch that game too, because Coastal Carolina's a good team.
And if you can't go and watch it, then you should at least watch it on your TV because I'll be announcing that game actually. So
there you go.
That's why you should go do it. You can listen to this lovely voice that you listen to on the radio. Go tell you about a baseball game. I'll be doing color announcing for that game. So I'll give you more in-depth feedback during that game. I'll have all my notes in front of me. I'll be studied up. It'll be real solid. But yeah, this is a team that definitely I think everyone needs to go pay attention to. Everyone needs to go see. A lot of fun stuff going on. As for Illinois softball, though, a team that's also been incredible. Another team that recently has come home, and you should definitely go watch. They just recently had their opening series at home. I know a pretty veteran player on that team, Taylor Edwards, today was campaigning for Kenny Chesney to throw out the first pitch at their game this upcoming weekend. He's coming here. He's performing next week at State Farm Center, and I think it could happen. So I would say
that'd be pretty cool.
It looks like it's going to happen because State Farm Center replied to her tweet saying, "Check your DMs," and so I think they're trying to work something out. But I think she loves Kenny Chesney, it seems like, on her Twitter when she was tweeting at him. And it looks like he might go. And I'm not the biggest country music fan, but hey, if Illinois softball can go grab Kenny Chesney to throw out the first pitch, that's pretty cool. I think she was asking for the game on April 3rd or whenever he's here. I can't remember exactly the day he's performing here, but I think it would be either the day he's performing or the.
I would imagine it's April 5th or 6th. That's a Friday and Saturday.
Okay, then it's one of those.
Against Minnesota.
Yeah. So, hey, shout out to you, Taylor Edwards. You're really going for it. I like it. I like it.
The voice of Illinois softball on Twitter. That's pretty funny.
That's the right thing to do. But and then the softball team retweeted it, but State Farm Center slid into her DMs apparently, and it's at least they said check your DMs.
Whatever works.
I agree. I would love to see it. That'd be a lot of fun for softball, and hey, rightfully so. They deserve it. This team is 20-7 right now. Not an easy stretch for them starting on the road for all those games that they did. They had several winning streaks going for them throughout their long road stretch, and their first series at home, I believe, was against
number 23 Wisconsin.
Yeah,
and they took that series 2-1.
2-1, and they won the last game 6-5, which was a pretty close contest for them. And overall, I mean, this team, again, is somebody that I think is pretty well balanced. One of the freshmen that's been a standout for them has been Sydney Sickles. She's been really good. She's a freshman pitcher that's come in and kind of just came out of nowhere. I think, Tyra Perry wouldn't say that about her, that she's going to always know how good these people are. But she was someone that wasn't really on anyone's necessarily watch list. She came in and has been really killing it. And that's been a lot of fun to watch. But, again, you have Taylor Edwards on this team who's a senior. You have Kiana Sherland on this team who's a veteran player for them. And just the right mix, I think, for this softball team. And last year it was a little underwhelming, I think, the way things finished up for them. And it looked like this was a team that was going to have a nice breakout campaign or a really strong year, but fell just short. Yeah. And that was kind of the same. Well, it really was the same exact thing for Illinois baseball. And what's nice to see is both of them have flipped that switch a little bit.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, softball was kind of in the same boat as baseball because baseball lost Spillane to the draft, and he ended up going to, I think that was the Reds. And then softball lost Nicole Evans, who was
oh my gosh, yeah,
far and away their best hitter. I mean, she was hitting home runs left and right. I mean, did she set a record? I feel like she did.
I think so.
She set the home run record, I think, for her career.
It sounds like, yeah.
And she was unbelievable. So softball was kind of in that same dimension as baseball, where who was going to step up? Would they be able to continue that success? And so far they have. I mean, they're 20-7 for a reason. Sherland and Edwards are a big part of that.
Yeah, and Carly Thomas too, who's a redshirt, I believe, redshirt senior.
I think so.
She's been really solid. She broke the doubles record for Illinois earlier this year. That was just a couple games ago, and that's the nice thing. Is all these people are seniors, and that's who's leading the way. But then you also have some of these younger players, and you, like I talked about, Sickles on the pitching staff, but you also have Bella Loya, who's been really solid. She's a sophomore. Had a decent year last year.
391.
And she's hitting 391, and she hits bombs. So
she's leading the team in home runs. She's got 9 home runs.
I'm telling you,
she's hitting a home run every series.
Go follow Illinois softball Twitter because they tweet out her homers, and she wrecks the ball. They're always tweeting.
She's launching balls into orbit right now.
You need to go and follow both Illinois baseball and Illinois softball on Twitter because I just love baseball. And I love softball as well, Jake. I know you're the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I love following both those Twitter accounts because I think they do a great job at tweeting out the clips and tweeting out the videos, or at least making a GIF of the play better than any other sport.
I think Illinois baseball and softball are probably the two best programs at that.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I think I love. I mean, Illinois has been. I mean, I guess now real quick discussion on Twitter. Illinois has been a really solid. Looked at as a really solid athletic department for their Twitter programs. I mean, football and basketball. I think it was basketball most recently was like in the top 10 for most viewed Twitter accounts in college basketball, which was huge for them. And I know their football is also a really highly touted one. But I think overall, this athletic department does a really solid job with their social media. And just as somebody who's going into the multimedia field and hopefully, knock on wood, but is going into this field, I really respect it. And I love especially what Illinois baseball and softball do, because if you're not able to watch the game, I know something that could bother people is live tweeting games. Like someone just, like tweet after tweet of just, you're like, okay, I'm reading the play, I get it. Yeah. But it's nice to follow these accounts because what they'll do is, they put up the play.
Highlights,
yeah, they give you the highlights as the game's going on. And for baseball and softball, that's really important because these are longer games. And if you're not able to catch it, you can catch those big hits and those big runs. So shout out to you, Twitter people, who are running Illinois softball and baseball. I know Brett Moore does some stuff for baseball. So, hey, Brett, thank you.
When I was a freshman 2 years ago, I tweeted I think it was at Illinois basketball or something. I just made, like the joke, the interns are working overtime now. Like, when you just blindly assume an intern runs the social media like that. I think that's a joke among journalism people. And then they snappily replied to me, "Not an intern, winky face." And I was like, oh, I was joking. But it's okay.
All right. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, they got some pros doing their Twitter stuff. I appreciate it. You're recognized out there if you're listening to this, maybe driving home from doing your day's work of social media-ing.
We love
then
you.
You're hearing this, and we all appreciate your work. I love those accounts. So go follow them. I think it's just at Illini Baseball, at Illini Softball. Just go do it. It's worth it.
I believe that.
Get all that good content. And make sure you watch both these teams. Go and watch them. They're home now. They're going to be having several home series. Both of them have home series coming up. So try to get to the ballpark. Maybe Kenny Chesney will be there. Who knows? And maybe you want to go meet him. But definitely do it. Or go listen to the Coastal Carolina game because your boy will be on color. So, all right, we'll move on. Yeah, no more plugs. All right, let's move on. We'll actually talk about this. We'll take one break and then we're going to get into this. I want to just pose the question, Jake, Tati. Feel free to get involved in this as well after we get back.
Tati.
Has college basketball, the regular season was pretty decent. Zion, all the craziness, there's some stars that people like to see. Has that kind of masked that this has really not been a great NCAA tournament? And will this be a good NCAA tournament? I'm going on from the Sweet 16. We're right kind of at the halfway point. I want to discuss what we've seen so far. I personally have some thoughts about this. So if you're interested in some NCAA tournament talk, make sure you stick with us. You're listening to Illini Drive here on 107.1 WPGU. Welcome back to Illini Drive here on 107.1 WPGU. Before the break, we had some Illinois baseball, Illinois softball talk, some impromptu Twitter shout-outs to people. So good job out there, everyone on Twitter. I always enjoy my Twitter content. So good job, Twitterverse. And now, before the break, I posed a question to everybody. We're going to talk a little March Madness. We've been on a break for about a week or so, and we haven't had a chance to get into this. And usually we have a Monday show, but Jake, you weren't there yesterday, so this is perfect. You're on this show today. We're going to talk.
I'm sure they were really nice to me, and
I bet. Yeah, it's not like that show. Yeah, everyone's good. But
nice group of fellows.
Yeah, nice group of fellows over there on the Monday, Wednesday.
It was Brendan's first time interacting with Tommy Polson, with incumbent Tommy Polson, because Brendan's been filling in for him on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So I'm very interested to hear how that went tomorrow, but
all right.
I'll be hearing about that tomorrow.
Yeah, you'll hear about it tomorrow. And you can listen to Jake tomorrow. Same time, 6-7, Illini Drive.
You're welcome.
There you go. All full of plugs. He just winked at the camera. We filmed this too, by the way. Urbana Public Television. If you want to go watch these.
First time we've mentioned that.
This might be, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is the first. We got our cameraman in here. This is our first.
We got Jason on the mic a couple weeks ago. It was lit.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, because I brought up Breaking Bad and nobody else watched it, unfortunately. So Jason bailed me out. It was lit.
Okay.
It's good.
Well, Urbana Public Television, if you want to watch this, you can go do it.
Yeah.
Urbana Public Television, go to the YouTube channel, and it's also on the station, right? On what days?
It airs, let me think, Thursday night at 11 p.m. and Friday night at 11 p.m.
Okay. He got on the mic. Woo!
Both
if
shows,
you don't know, he sits in the corner in here during our shows and
just laughs at us.
And laughs at some of the things we say, which we hope you're laughing as well. Otherwise, we feel bad. But yeah, there you go.
Don't tell us if you're not laughing.
This show's full of plugs today, guys. Don't. Maybe if you're driving out there and you want to plug, find me on Twitter at Schuster_Elias, and I'll give you a plug. DM me. Urbana Public Television.
You gotta sell the plugs. You can like $5 for a shout out.
$5. I'll do it. DM me at SCHUSTER_Elias ELIAS, and I'll give you a shout out. Just DM me. Go follow me. All right, this is it. We're done. this is ridiculous. All right, March Madness. I posed the question: Is this March Madness underwhelming? Has it kind of been masked by just big players in the sense that John Morant was somebody that everyone was excited about, excited that he did get into the tournament with his Murray State team. Obviously, Zion has always been the talk of the town this whole year. And so everything has always been about him. Basically, when he was injured, it didn't even matter. There was still news on him every single day. So there's been good stories with certain specific individuals this year. But has that kind of masked the fact that this hasn't been a very good NCAA tournament? I feel like every year in the first round and the round of 32, we have some killer games, and a lot of them. And ones that are really close or really big plays, or even there seems to be a buzzer beater, at least one every year in those first two rounds. This year we have a lot of
blowouts,
9-point wins, and then some blowouts, and we haven't had many close games. I think when you think about it, for me, maybe the best two games that we've seen, or the best game that we've seen, I'll put it at, is round 32 Duke versus UCF. Really close game. That one was very exciting to watch. Good basketball from both teams. I also think that New Mexico State and Auburn was an intriguing game because the end was ridiculous. I remember just keeping track of that game, and the ending was absurd. You had a weird ball that was overturned. There was missed free throws. New Mexico State had a chance to win. They missed 2 free throws, and then Auburn was able to hang on and win 78-77 by stopping New Mexico State. They had a last-second shot attempt, I think, with a second left, and they missed it. So that was at least an exciting game. For a while, Vermont was leading Florida State. That was kind of fun. But, you can look across the board here at some of these games and not a lot of fun stuff. And not a lot of surprise. It's not like there's any major upsets either.
I think it's more of there haven't been those huge captivating games.
Yeah.
I think it depends on who you like. I think if you like Big Ten basketball, Big Ten did really well in the first 2 rounds, outside of Wisconsin, obviously, because they stink.
They weren't very good.
But I think if you like Big East, then you watch Villanova and they almost lost to St. Mary's, and then they were very disappointing against Purdue. Yeah. And if you like ACC, they've been doing really well. Tennessee gave us a couple interesting games. And then back to Big Ten, Iowa gave us some really interesting games. The game against Cincinnati, and they gave Tennessee a run for their money. So I think it's just more divided than usual.
Sure. And I think that's a good point, because I think we haven't seen And maybe that's why there hasn't been, I don't think, because I think we would know if people have been very displeased with this tournament or something, because I think
the ratings have never been higher, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, because I think this is a situation where people really like their conference. I mean, there's people that really like Big Ten.
The fan bases are huge.
The fan bases for certain conferences are huge. I mean, that just is rooted in the fact that you can look at these states. There's Big Ten network exists. They're starting an ACC network. I mean, just people love their conference. And so I think that's a really valid point to look at right now, is that that might be where people are headed and why that this hasn't been talked about, I think. But when you think about it, from just looking at the grand scheme of things and looking at the bracket as a whole, there hasn't been those fun upsets. You know, there hasn't been those incredible. There's always that 12-5 that we get, and we're like, all right. But there hasn't been that one game, I think, where someone really kills it, and you have that captivating moment, right? And every year for the past several years, we've had that. Or we've had that team that's making that run. I think we were spoiled a little bit last year. We had a 1-beat to 16, and we had Loyola, right? Loyola Chicago all the way. Right. So that was something that was really fun to watch. But and so we could have been a little spoiled. But even the couple of years before that, I mean, we've had great games. And
I think what's interesting is some of these games, some of these like 9-8 point losses were a lot closer than they seem. Like the Kentucky Wofford game, like that was a 6-point loss for Wofford, but it was a lot closer the entire time. They led a lot of that game, and Kentucky was trying to come from behind a lot of that game. Even Auburn, Kansas, like that game was closer than the 14-point loss it looks like for Kansas. So I think a lot of these games, they're really close, and then the better team just pulls away. Like what comes to mind for me is Virginia Tech and St. Louis in the first round. That game ended up 66-52, but St. Louis, they were down by 22, and then they cut it to like 6, and Virginia Tech ended up pulling away again. But I think it's just there's a lot of back and forth in the middle and like right after halftime, and then like the last 7-8 minutes is when the better team just ends up pulling away.
Yeah, I think that it's – but the reason – the thing that makes these tournaments so captivating are when the last 2 minutes are, back and forth. So I think the fact that we have these better teams pulling away is just – it's less – it feels less intriguing. And the only thing that I'm hoping is that from the Sweet 16 on now – I mean, we have the best teams. We have basically the highest seeded teams. And we only have to hope that we're getting the best basketball. Like, we're going to see the best basketball that we've seen so far. And
you only have one team lower than a 5, and that's Oregon at 12.
Yeah. And I think, and to talk about the seeding real quick, which I think is another good talking point, when I first looked at this bracket, I didn't think it was going to be a great tournament. Like, I saw it and I went, okay, I think this is going to be a 1-versus-1 final. I think it's going to be a Duke UNC. Yeah. I think it's going to be a UNC versus someone. Maybe Kentucky has a shot, if Washington stayed healthy, but we don't really know what his deal right now. Purdue does look good right now. I've always loved Carson Edwards, but Tennessee even, they've been good all year. I refuse to believe that they can win a championship, but just because I don't think they play anybody that good. But it's.
And they almost lost to 16 again. So.
Yeah, I personally, I've never been on the Tennessee road. When they were 1, I was like, oh god. And then Virginia.
They almost lost to Iowa.
Yeah, Virginia was. Virginia has having a rough time. I don't believe Virginia can win either. But either way,
they should have lost to Oklahoma. That game was a lot closer than it looked like too.
Yeah. So I think, but regardless, look, when you go back and you look at this tournament, the seeding was very top heavy. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have, and the season really was as well, but you have some really top heavy teams. And I think then when you started to get to those, and this is why I was kind of underwhelmed by it, and why I was hoping there would be some more upsets, is when you go and you look at the seeding for this tournament, really everyone after probably the 5 seeds were like pretty comparable. Like when you looked at, for me, when I looked at Mississippi State and Liberty, a 12 versus 5, I was like, these teams feel the same to me. Like these teams feel like
it was an 80-76 final. Yeah, Liberty ended up winning, but still.
And I was like, these teams feel the same. Ohio State 11 versus 6, and Iowa State. That game happened. I felt like, yeah, okay. That felt to me that feels like a comparable matchup. It doesn't feel like Iowa State's that much better. Right. Ohio State had their woes, but nothing that crazy. Belmont, Maryland, same way. Right. I was like, Belmont's a good team. Marquette, Murray State. I was shocked by the range of that score, but you were like, yeah, they have John Morant, they could do it. Right. Nevada, Florida, like you just look at all these matchups and it's like Seton Hall, Warford, St. Mary's, Villanova, like all these teams felt the same to me. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I was like, I guess we're not going to have that big upset, or we're not going to feel like we have that big upset.
Right.
Because everyone past the, 5 seed feels like they're all the same.
And you always think it's going to be one of those 11 seeds, like Arizona State. I know they had a lot of hype after they beat St. John's. And
they got crushed by Buffalo.
By 17. And that game is one that was a lot farther than it looked.
Yeah.
Like, Buffalo dominated that game.
Well, and what's not fun right now too is that we don't have, like you said, there's no one higher than a what right now in the Sweet 16 of 5.
There's only one seed lower than a 5.
Yeah.
Oregon's at 12.
Which is Oregon at 12.
And then
Yeah.
Oregon's at 12, and then Auburn's a 5, and then it's all 2.
And Oregon's not the most fun. And also, Auburn was there last year. They got to the Sweet 16 last year. And so that's
They're
not
a good
surprising.
team.
They are.
The over-under for North Carolina Auburn is almost at 170.
Yeah. Well,
It's crazy.
It's
It's crazy.
Auburn was there last year. This is an experienced team. It's not surprising that they're doing it again. I think people weren't high enough on them, to be honest.
I mean, all these teams have experience. Houston, Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky, obviously. Houston was a team that's been getting better. Auburn, you already mentioned. UNC. Texas Tech is a sneaky good team if you've been paying attention. Michigan, obviously. Gonzaga, obviously. Florida State, LSU, Michigan State, Purdue, Tennessee, like Duke, Virginia Tech. Like, these are all teams that if you pay attention, these are teams that you expect to be here.
Yeah. I just think that overall, there's not that. There usually is like a Loyola.
Right.
Like, I mean, last year they went a little further than usual.
Oregon now,
yeah.
But
Oregon's not that fun of a team.
No, they're not. They're a stinky team.
Like
they're
Loyola,
just a defensive team.
I will say there's not always the Cinderella that goes all the way to like the Final Four or like goes that far as Loyola got to. But there always is at least like, I mean, 2 tournaments ago we had like Northern Iowa who was like who had that crazy butter. Wow. I think I just had like a moment. I almost passed out. No, a buzzer beater. I had a buzzer beater. They had a buzzer beater in their like conference tournament, and then they had one of the, I think it was like the first round, and they had like great moments. And you just have these kind of teams that you don't think about that have these stellar moments, or they have a Cinderella story. We don't have a Cinderella story right now.
I think what happened is everybody was hoping it would be Murray State and Ja Morant.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
It just didn't happen, so then everybody just tuned out. Because, Oregon's the 12, and it's awesome that they're in the Sweet 16, but they're boring. Without Bobo, they're boring.
Yes.
And, we were all hoping it'd be Murray State, and we get to see Ja Morant go up against a Michigan State or whomever.
Yeah.
And then we just didn't get it because Murray State overall is not that good. But
exactly.
But realistically, we wanted Gonzaga and Ja Morant. We wanted to see how he would do against the best of the best, and it just didn't happen. So then everybody tuned out. And now we're just waiting for the Elite Eight or the Final Four or the championship.
I think so. I mean, because I think, we really just want to see. I don't know who people want to see the most, but I mean, it just seems like Duke, UNC.
You know who people want to see.
Yeah, okay. But I'm saying I don't know exactly.
Everybody wants to see Zion.
Yes, but who's the other team? I feel like it would probably have to be UNC.
Probably be UNC just to finish because they played twice, right?
Yes, they played twice.
Yeah, so you want the trilogy.
No, maybe they did play 3 times.
I think they played 3 times.
Because, Zion played in the last matchup.
Right, yeah.
They played twice during the regular season. Zion
so
played
everyone
in
wants
the
to see if
tournament.
Duke can get the revenge. But, I mean, otherwise, Zion against Kentucky would be kind of cool, I guess. Admiral Schofield against Zion would be decent. But, yeah, I mean, other than that, it's Duke, and that's anybody cares about.
Yeah. I think it's just for me, we're missing out on, we're missing that feeling of a Cinderella.
Right.
And
because it's just dominance. It's just so many of these teams are just dominant teams.
Like I'm looking like the past couple South Carolina in 2017 was a great story. Like that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was the one 2
they
years ago.
They were 13 that
they
year,
were no, they were higher than that. They were 7.
Okay, I was way off.
Yeah,
all right.
But cool. But yeah, we're missing that right now. And to me, I've kind of felt that so far. I felt like we've been missing it. And the only thing I can hope is I do believe the best teams are left. The best teams, the best basketball, I think, is yet to be seen. So the only thing that I can hope is that's what we get. But if you had to give your championship prediction,
UNC Duke.
Well, you want to see, but I'm saying for you, looking at what you've seen so far, who do you think is in the championship?
UNC Duke.
Okay, that's what you think?
I think Texas Tech.
Oh, I thought you said you want to see Duke. That's what I thought you said.
I think that's how it ends up. I think Texas Tech could sneak in there. I think they're a sneaky good team.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Duke's going to beat Virginia Tech. They've struggled. They've struggled against Liberty. They struggled against St. Louis, despite what the score says. I think that Duke blows past Virginia Tech. LSU and Michigan State, I think Michigan State wins that, and then Duke beats Michigan State because, Izzo's got them fired up, but this is still a Michigan State team that lost to Illinois, lest we forget. So then Duke just goes to the championship game there. Maybe they beat Gonzaga because I think Gonzaga makes it, but I think Texas Tech is a really sneaky team.
Yeah, I love Texas Tech.
UNC Auburn's going to be really fun.
I agree.
And then probably UNC Kentucky is what you're going to end up with. I would love to see Tennessee and North Carolina. I think that would be really fun, but I think that's how it's going to end up.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm looking. 2016 too had like Hawaii was a great story.
Again,
and
Admiral Schofield and Zion Williamson are two really, really good athletes. Probably the two best athletes left.
Yeah,
I would say in this tournament.
Yeah,
and they'd be awesome to watch go up against each other. But again, that's just top heavy. It's a 1 versus 2, and you're probably getting a 1 versus 1.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, I look at this tournament and I think that it is Duke's to win, but we did see how close that game was against UCF. I also think that I have a weird feeling this could finally be a Gonzaga year. We
say that every year.
No, I don't personally. It's big for me to say that because I personally have never felt like Gonzaga could win. It's like the same type of thing I feel like right now for Virginia and Tennessee. For Virginia, for me, I feel like they can never win because I don't think their play style is built for a championship, with being so defensive heavy. And then Tennessee, I just don't think the SEC is like a great place to be playing people basketball right now. And I don't think that you're prepared to win a championship. But my thing about and then Gonzaga, I've never thought that they play anyone good enough to win, right? Like, I mean, the year they were even in the final, I was like, there's no way they win this. Like, I couldn't believe they would. But I do think they could be the most talented team. Other than Duke, they're the most talented team. I think that like their players are ridiculous. Yeah. And they're such a good roster and they're deep. And so for me, I think if there's going to be a year that they win,
it's going to be this year.
It has to be this year. Yeah, because this is the best Gonzaga
What
team
happened
that
to
we've
Wichita State? They just faded after like Ron Baker left. Of all people.
That was a random jump.
All people.
Now we're just going, well, hey, Ron Baker. I thought Ron Baker was there for like 8 years. It felt like Ron Baker was there forever.
Same with Luke May. Luke May has been at UNC since 2001, dude.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Also, Illinois baseball just took a 1-0 lead. Michael Massey, of course, had a double with 2 outs. So
that just went all over the place. We jumped from
listen, man, I'm giving the people
Gonzaga, went to Wichita State, which was just completely random, and then but now you get your Illinois baseball update. So there we have it. Tati, prediction on the NCAA March Madness to end this conversation?
I don't care.
Okay.
Not even about LSU?
Okay, I love LSU, but they're not going to do anything substantial.
I think they were sneaky before all the stuff happened with their coaching situation.
But
I really
now
liked
they're
them.
really sneaky.
But now they're super sneaky.
I don't know. I just, like you said, there's nothing. I'm usually like wanting to watch it, and I don't have cable, and I don't care. Like I'm just fine that I'm not seeing it. I haven't seen any just like absolute upsets. I haven't seen anything worth watching, and so I don't
Duke?
care. We all like Duke.
No, we don't all like Duke.
You know what's an interesting point?
I'm sorry, we all like Zion.
Because I know where this is going. We don't all like Duke. We all like Zion.
Yeah, we all like Zion.
No, okay.
He's so fancy.
Yes, that's fair. But I think a good point of conversation is that this is we do. Okay, we do all like Zion.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good starting point. However, this is kind of the first time anyone's ever been like rooting for Duke.
Actually, Duke is like I'm a Duke hater for no reason, but I am. But like I'm rooting.
Everyone is. But this year, everyone's like, yeah, I want Duke to win.
I saw a poll the other day that it was, do you hate Duke? And the options were yes, absolutely, yes, but I like Zion, and no, I don't have a problem with Duke. I like Zion. And it was like 40. It was something like 43% or something was still yes, and 35% was yes, but I like Zion, and then
really?
like 22% was like no. So I think that's what a lot of people. He's just such a transcendent dude, and people love him because the man made a shoe explode, and he gained 100 pounds in a year.
Yeah,
like otherworldly type of things that shouldn't be happening to a normal human happen, and so you just like he puts butts in the seat, whether it's at home or in the stadium.
Here's my question. Okay. With that, geez, man, there's a lot of just random tangents going on in this one that we got off of, but it's fine. It's still the topic of March Madness, still college basketball. My response to that is, I think that people wouldn't hate Duke this year. Take Zion out of it. I even think people like RJ Barrett, and I think that people like Cam Reddish. So I just think this team right now, even if you didn't have Zion, I don't think Duke would. It would still kind of have the same feeling, where I don't know if Duke would be as hated.
I think Zion's still likable. Like then people would say, "Look at all these guys going to Duke. We hate them. Like why are they all going to one team? Okay. Like because those guys are. I mean,
he
boring.
could make them so.
They're not to be rude, but they're boring. They like RJ Barrett. Like outside of the game against Louisville, where Cam Reddish just hit all these threes in a row and like brought them back. Fine, whatever. But
Zion's really overwhelming.
Jump out of the building and like people like him, and he's just this.
But that's what I'm saying. They're not. I think they would have more of a chance. I mean, you have to admit though they'd have more of a chance to break out if Zion wasn't there.
Yeah,
we would see more of what they could do if Zion wasn't there. That could be exciting.
I think even when Duke has these good players, like people still find ways to hate them. Zion's just likable because he's just a big giant baby. And, like he's just like says all the right things all the time. Like he's just a nice guy.
He really is. I want to find some other strong Zion hater. It has to exist, but I have not met anyone yet.
I'm sure there's a UNC fan or someone out there who
Zion. Like an I hate Zion Williamson shirt.
Sure, exactly.
I want to meet this guy. I'm sure he's very angry.
Very reasonable.
Yeah, very reasonable.
Definitely.
I hate Christian Laettner. All right, that's going to be the end of this discussion. We're going to take our second break. Once we get back...
You have 15 minutes. You might as well just keep it rolling.
We'll finish this. No, we're going to take a quick break. Once we finish this, we will get back and talk baseball. So make sure you stick with us. You're listening to Illini Drive here on 171 WPGU. Welcome back to Illini Drive here on 107.1 WPGU. I'm Eli Schuster, joined alongside Jake, Hasan, and Tati Perry. Tati, hello.
Hello.
Good stuff. That's the good content right there from Tati. Before the break, we were talking March Madness. We talked a lot of stuff about March Madness. A lot of college basketball stuff. We're going to move on from that, though, and in the last 10 minutes of the show, we're going to talk a little bit of baseball.
Extension City.
Yes, we want to talk about extensions. The MLB has been kind of on an extension flurry lately. We're getting a lot of off-season momentum now, finally, after Bryce and Machado have signed their ways. I have some thoughts on this.
I have the list. You want the list? I got the list right in front of me right here.
Sure. I will just let me preface this with the reason we're talking about this today is Cubs signed Kyle Hendricks to a 4-year, $55 million deal.
Opening day in 2 days.
Probably the least exciting. Not exciting. I guess the right word would be this isn't shocking. The least shocking, I think, extension they could have given.
Sure.
I think just in Hendricks' situation that they're in, and he's the type of player that he's in, it makes sense for that to be the first guy they go after in this extension. We don't expect them to go after a guy like Baez right away or Contreras right away or Bryant right away, even though they did try to go after Bryant. It makes sense. Hendricks is not super shocking. You kind of could have seen this coming. If you're going to pick somebody, it makes sense. But yeah, if you want to read the list, we've had 15 in the last month.
I think Hendricks makes 16 now. But
okay.
All right. So Hendricks gets 4 years and $55 million. Whatever. Miles Michaelis got something like 4 and $67. So that's fine. But here we go. Kyle Hendricks, 4 years, $55 million. Luis Severino, 4 years, $45 million. Aaron Nola, 4 years, $45 million. Aaron Hicks, outfielder for the Yankees, $7 and $70 million. Nolan Arenado of the Rockies, who most of you probably know, 8 years, $260. Miles Michaelis, 4 and $68. Alex Bregman, 6 and $100. Mike Trout, 12 and $430. Obviously earns every cent of that. Probably got shortchanged on that.
Yeah.
Eloy Jimenez of the White Sox, 6 years, $43 million. Largest for a minor league player who has yet to record an out in the field or at the plate in the major leagues. Blake Snell, reigning AL Cy Young winner, 5 years, $50 million. Chris Sale, 5 and $145. Paul Goldschmidt of the St. Louis Cardinals, 5 years, $130. Justin Verlander, 2 years and $66 million. That's unbelievable. And Jacob deGrom this morning, 4 years and $120, the reigning NL Cy Young winner.
So there you have it. A lot of money being thrown around now, finally.
Over $1 billion in extensions this offseason.
And Mike Trout has almost half of that.
Has just about half of that.
Yeah. But a lot of stuff moving on. I think, all right, I guess two things I want to do real quick is, first thing, let's do this the fastest. What is your favorite extension?
Trout, obviously. I mean, he's going to be worth every penny of that. But if you want to throw that one out,
let's throw that one
out. I really like Alex Bregman's extension, 6 years and $100 million.
Yeah.
Because that buys out 2 years of his free agency, I believe. And when you can take a player like that out of free agency, I think that's a really big deal because he's a guy that was in the MVP conversation last year. He broke out. He's becoming a superstar. And he's really, really, really good. Without Carlos Correa for much of the year, you had him and he anchored your team. And so you saw what he can do. He's got postseason home runs off guys like Corey Kluber, heard of him. Guys like Trevor Bauer, heard of him. Guys like Chris Sale, heard of him. These Cy Young caliber pitchers. And so he's a guy that you want to keep around. You keep him through his prime years. And I think it's a really good one. Nolan Arenado is also a good one because I think he's a superstar that makes Colorado more appealing to free agents now.
That was, I think mine was going to be Arenado, just the other big one. I think that 8 years for 260s could be a steal for him.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great deal.
Because he's still only 27.
Yeah. I think that could be a steal for them. I think probably the only one I'll other say is Nola. I think that is a pretty good deal for them because I think that's a player who, on the younger side, could be a really good piece for that. I mean, we're assuming this Phillies team is going to be competing for the playoffs for the next couple of years.
Sure.
And he could be a really important piece of that. So the fact that you can lock him up and it's only he could be a player that's worth more than that in a season.
He was top 3 in Cy Young voting.
Exactly.
Speaking of being worth more than that in a season, Mike Trout had his best year by money wise last year, according to Fangraphs. He was worth $70 million. I feel like that's not even peak Mike Trout. I feel like we've got more coming down the pipe from him.
Okay, so we got that out of the way.
We did.
My question to you is, are these extensions good for baseball? And here's my reasoning why they may not be. Because I think it's easy to say they are. Or it's easy to say that, okay, players are getting the money, where we can avoid these situations for some of these big-name players. We can avoid some of the Bryce Harper, Machado nonsense that we had to go through this offseason. So I think for those reasons, we could say extensions are good. Here's my reasoning for, is this really good? If you look, you just read that list off. Some pretty big name guys on that list.
Mostly, yeah. I mean, these are all guys who you would recognize.
And you know that if you're a baseball fan, these are guys that you recognize. These were also guys that people wanted, right? Yeah. That other teams wanted. There's a reason that the Cubs are trying to offer Bryant right now. There's a reason they're probably going to try to offer Baez and Contreras, sooner rather than later.
Sure.
There's a reason that these teams are trying to offer extensions, and when we're in a place right now with the league and with the MLB of ratings and interest steadily decreasing, or it's been at least fluctuating, right? Is this actually good for the league when you don't have player mobility? Because player mobility in the NBA, if you look at a league like that, has been its bread and butter now for the past couple of years. It's been the reason that people have drawn interest because the superstars are going different places. They're forming different teams. It started with LeBron James. I think really going to the Heat is kind of when it really kicked off, where you started to see definitely. That players could go places.
Power to the players.
Yeah, power to the players. And while players right now in baseball there's player empowerment in the sense that they're getting these extensions, good for them. But they're not moving around.
Sure.
There's not a lot of excitement in that. So should we really want these players to be getting 8-year extensions? Or, like a Nolan Arenado is a great example. Do we want him on the Rockies for 8 years? No. Is it good for him? Yes. Yeah. But is it good for us, and is it good for the fan base?
So the thing is with this is that, it's good for the players. Awesome. Get that money. Love that for them.
And I think if you're like a hardcore fan like you, right, or, like me and like people who love baseball out there, we will be happy with this at times because we say, we love the players. Great for the players. But take that out of it. And is this, with that being out of it and from just a fan perspective and an interest perspective, is this good?
This is the league strangleholding the players. I mean, this is the league holding the players hostage, really, because now this is the owners being able to say, all right, hey, look what happened. Like, you saw guys like Bryce Harper, Manny Machado go out, and they didn't get paid till almost spring training. Do you want that to happen to you? Hey, Nolan Arenado, you're a free agent after this year. Do you want to be waiting till after Valentine's Day, till after camp has started to get your money? Or do you just want to have that locked down and where you're at for the next 8 years? Hey, Chris Sale, you're going to be a free agent. Look at Dallas Keuchel. He's over 30. He's still on the market right now.
Yeah.
He's had injury concerns too. You might as well sign this extension because we want you and we're willing to give you this right now. What if you blow out your elbow? So this makes me angry because teams they're holding the players hostage because they can do this now and they have this leverage where it should be like the NBA where teams can be like, all right, a player could say, all right, here, I want to go here or here or here, or forced trade, whatever.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that Alex Bregman is signing a 6-year deal at the age of 24, 25, whatever. Good for him. That's great. But that just makes it a precedent now that players are scared. I mean, and so when the new CBA comes into effect, whenever that is, I think in 2 years, that's going to be a bargaining point. And people are going to say, oh, look at all these extensions. The system's not broken. Free agency's fine. Then why is Mike Moustakas still signing a 1-year deal? Why is Dallas Keuchel still on the market? He's a Cy Young winner. Yeah. So, the top guys are always going to get their money. It's the second and third tier players that are still
But don't we
left.
want these players moving around? I think that's the bulk of this argument. I think, let's look at, this was a trade, but let's look at Yasiel Puig going to the Reds, right?
Sure.
That's going to bring some interest to the Reds. And it already has, and it's already made people say, okay, maybe the Reds are going to be pretty good this year. People already like some of what they had. But Yasiel Puig brings some interest, and he's not even a huge name player. But he's, a guy that he's pretty active out there.
He's a contributor.
He's a contributor, but he has a lot of emotion when he plays, all this stuff. He's going to bring interest to the Reds. That's a fun movement.
The thing
People
with
are excited about the
baseball-
NL Central now because he's in there.
The thing with baseball is it's not so superstar driven as
No, it's
basketball.
not. Yeah.
So like if one player leaves one team, so like when LeBron left Cleveland the first time, like that was it. It was over. They were one of the worst teams in the league. They had to start from scratch, and then Miami instantly became this contender. With baseball, it's not so much like that.
But like, let's even think about, to compare it back to basketball, let's even think about like Zach LaVine, right?
Sure.
Zach LaVine, his story this offseason was like, people were interested. Is he going to go with the Kings, or if he's going, is he going to stay with the Bulls? Or like, what's going to end up happening here? And he's not even a superstar, but there was an aspect of like some player mobility aspect there that was like, we're interested to see where this player goes. And I think that for a lot of free agents, even the most basic of free agents, people are interested with these second tier, third tier level players in the NBA moving around. Like it seems like a relatively big deal. People are still interested what team Jeremy Lin's on.
Right.
And they're like, and they're interested, and they're like, oh, he's on the Raptors. Oh, I want to watch him play tonight. Like the player mobility aspect is good for the NBA, and we're not getting that. We're getting 8 years of Nolan Arenado more than 8 years of Nolan Arenado on the Rockies, and
It's just
the Rockies.
It's just so much more of a process in baseball to build a team, and then those contention windows usually stay open longer.
Sure.
So I think that's just the whole thing. I agree. I think I would love to see players move more, but usually players get more comfortable in baseball because they're there longer. Like basketball, you're usually only there 4 years. A baseball player's rookie contract doesn't even end until 6 or 7 years down the road. So I think it's a comfortability thing too.
And I think that's a valid point. I just think that the league isn't helping itself by building this precedence.
You're going to see that change in the next CBA in 2 years. There's going to be a lot more power argued for the players.
Yeah, I think that even look at like the Sox offering like
Eli.
Yeah, offering Eli. I mean, yes, that's good. He's very young, so it's okay. You can say like 6 years, whatever. That's fine. But that's the guy that you'd love to see these guys on the move. I think it's just at the end of the day, that's the point. I think that makes the team everything a little more interesting. Especially if you have like a Bregman who's been to now going to the World Series, all like
MVP candidate.
MVP candidate, and then he's able to move eventually, and he goes to another team. Like that's going to bring some interest there. Right. So, that's that discussion. I don't know, but we're going to be able to talk opening day soon.
Yeah,
so how about that? 2 days. That's pretty good stuff. That's going to wrap it up though for us here on Illini Drive. It's been a good show. Jake, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Time.
And you can listen to him tomorrow from 6 to 7 again. So. Thank you for listening. This has been Illini Drive here on 107.1 WPGU.